Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you to the witnesses for being here. And I have to say, time is of the essence, and I do believe that we've been waiting too long and we need to move on with this. We've heard from many different witnesses who have said that this will actually help decide projects going forward and take away some of that uncertainty. So I am of the mind that we need to move on with it. And so I wanted to ask Mr. Obed, in addition to the specific Truth and Reconciliation Commission calls to actions 43 and 44, which call on government to fully adopt and implement the declaration and develop an action plan to achieve its goals, the declaration is also referenced throughout the calls to action and in the final report of the National Inquiry into Missing Women and Girls. So can you expand on why you think that the Truth and Reconciliation Commission and the National Inquiry both emphasize the declaration as such a key part of reconciliation, and also offer your own views on how this could help prevent the blight of racist, misogynistic violence and femicide of Indigenous women and girls? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for the question. The Royal Commission on Aboriginal Peoples, the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, and then the Murdered and Missing Indigenous Women and Girls Inquiry all had different mandates, all had different reasons for being, but at the heart of it was human rights and the violation of human rights for a specific group of people in Canada. It happens to be that there were First Nations, Inuit, and Métis in all three cases, but the findings are then consistent in that human rights are being violated today, and that there is a necessity for the government of Canada and for Canadians to understand this reality and address it. The UN Declaration is a tool. It is a very powerful tool in an international human rights context, but it is one of many tools that that not only the commissioners of the MIWG and then all of the witnesses who brought forward testimony during that process talked about. It is then also something that through the Truth and Reconciliation Commission became such a massive part of the reckoning of the residential school experience, which was the unbelievable human rights violations that took place over the course of upwards to 100 years in this country, in communities across southern Canada, communities that you probably lived in, you being committee members, happened. And we have the ability now to set a new course and the ability to affirm human rights instead of violate them. We have the ability to do better as a country and to respect First Nations, Inuit, and Métis women and girls instead of put them at risk for genocide. These are the things that we can do today, and this bill allows for this movement to push forward rather than the status quo of the past, which has done so much harm and has been encapsulated by so much thoughtful work over the past 20 years and so many tears through the witnesses and the people who lived through this and continue to live through this today. And their voices need to be heard. And this is one of the ways where the government of Canada can say, yes, we have heard you. This country does need to change. And this international human rights instrument needs to be fully implemented in this country.
Thank you. And I have to say, I have heard you and I hear you. You've also indicated that your position, ITK's position, that Bill C-15 would be strengthened if it were amended to include the establishment of an Indigenous Human Rights Commission. Could you expand on that a little bit about why that is so important and your thoughts about others who've said that the development of the action plan could be used to explore this establishment instead?
We're right at time, but try briefly. Go ahead.
Yes, thanks for the supplemental. The Commission is filling an implementation gap. Really, it is a mechanism to allow for the greatest possible implementation of this piece of legislation. It is merely meant to be an aid. And I would hope that committee members would read it and imagine that this particular commission would help do the best possible job of implementing the spirit and intent of the bill.
Thanks so much, Mr. Obed.